we've just got to think of hormones in general. Because if our estrogen, our progesterone, our sex hormones are off, we're already going to have things like hot flashes, mood changes, weight gain, cognitive decline. Adding alcohol on top of this makes this even more chaotic. So we have to be thinking you can't keep yourself from going through perimenopause and menopause, but you can change the things that are going to make it worse. Before we get into today's episode, I want to make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, if you don't want to miss any content that's being dropped, make sure you hit that notification bell as well. I also want to know who are the people you want to hear from on this show and what topics would you like me to continue to cover. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now, let's get into the episode. Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection YouTube channel, the channel where we debunk the concept of eat less, move more, shrink more mentality and focus on your beliefs around food, your body, yourself, and give you behaviors to respect all three. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, marriage and family therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about the effects of alcohol on my 35 plus girlies. Yes. As a recovering party girl, this is a very important topic to me, and I want to just educate you guys on why it is important to change your behaviors around alcohol intake as we age and giving you the choices on how to do that. Here at the Mindset Mirror Connection, we say what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror. So let's have a chat about that. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mindset Mirror Connection. I'm so excited to have you here today. For those of you who are new to this podcast, I like to talk about my life, my dogs, reality TV, whatever's on my mind. So if you're not interested in hearing that, check out the show notes to fast forward to the topic at hand. So Love Island is back, everyone. I don't know if I love this season. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Love Island, like it's nutty. They film like right now. So they're filming right now, like in real time. And they film like 6 days a week, which is crazy because there's so many episodes. And last season popped off for Love Island USA, mainly I think because Ariana from Vanderpump is the host. But then we got to meet these really incredible people and they became stars within themselves. And it's interesting to me because this cast very much seems like replicas of that cast. And I don't like that. I don't like it at all. Like it makes me not like them off the bat because I was so loyal to the previous cast. So I'm curious for you guys who are listening to watching Love Island. Do you think that's true? Let me know in the comments. But it's just so interesting to watch these younger girls. One of them is she comes off as pretty unique in regards to reality TV. She did not like this show, like they make out with the first time they meet. She did not do that. She kept boundaries for the first like week or so. And I think that makes her unique. And she's not trying to be this pick me girl, like hood rat shit. She very much maintained her individuality and her values and morals. And I think that's so nice and refreshing to see on reality TV because people just try to mimic what they see already, like who has been successful on reality TV, and I try to mimic that. But in all reality, if you look at women who've been successful in reality TV, they're the ones who stand out. I think like Paige DeSorbo, she is a star in her own right. She just announced she's not going to return on Summer House because she doesn't need to. She has an amazing podcast, Giggly Squad. If you guys need a podcast, that podcast to me is such an amazing like self-care podcast because they don't talk about like a lot of the podcasts I listen to, like this one, like we're educating, you're learning, but you're kind of in that like logic part of your brain. They just let you laugh. Like that's why it's called the Giggly Squad. And they just talk so freely. So she has that podcast. She has her Amazon Live. She just launched her PJ line, Daphne, and she is unique. She wasn't this girl trying to be with all the guys. She wasn't craving that attention. She's not one that has a ton of work done. She's very like her own look. And this girl, I believe her name is Alexia, gives that vibe of I'm going to be unique. And I just think that's so important to watch. And again, so refreshing to watch. But jury's out on this cast of Love Island. It's something that we just watch, that show you watch where you're just like texting or I'm working. It's a show I watch in the background. It used to be one before where I'm like, oh my God, when's the next episode? So we are watching that. And then I haven't gotten back into Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, but I listen to a lot of podcasts on reality TV because I'm obsessed. It's an issue. I blame Mark Hathaway because he's the one who introduced me to Bravo. But I hear a lot of drama is going on with that. So I will keep you up to date on that. Okay, what's going on in my life? Well, I talked to you guys about my Beverly Hills trip, which was awesome. So, so amazing. I'm actually recording this on a Sunday because my sister and my brother-in-law are in town. They'll be here for a week. And it's hard when you have family in town because they want to have like a good time. They're off work. They're like, come to the spa with us, come to this with us, come to that. And I'm like, I can't. I can't do that right now. And I feel bad, but that's why I'm recording on Sunday morning so that we're going to go to Old Town Scottsdale and we have a cabana at Maya Day Club. If you've ever been to Maya Day Club, it is a party. And they're going to party and I'm going to drink my mocktails. Oh my God, I have to tell you guys. Speaking of mocktails. So we went out for a friend's birthday on Friday and I was like, I'm not going to drink for this. And I got my little mocktails and they had a non-alcoholic beer at the venue, which was great. I haven't seen my friends drunk from that point of view, like ever. And I used to think I was the only one who was like crazy and out of control. No. I was like, oh, I thought this whole time, like people were like, oh, Christina gets like wild and free and fun and like crazy. And when I say crazy, I'm just like loud and like joking and like dancing, making a scene, a good scene. And no, my friends all do that. I was just looking around. I was like, it wasn't just me. It was that was also really refreshing. If you ever feel like a sense of anxiety over drinking, just stay sober when you're out with friends and you'll see the reality. So speaking of that, today we're talking about the costs of drinking, right? That affect us as we get older. Alcohol, hormones, and being 35 plus. And if you're younger than that, I want you to listen to this because I think it's important to kind of look at this long term. A lot of young people actually aren't drinking as much. And my whole theory on that is that's because they're all medicated. We were not medicated. We did not go to therapy. So we self-medicated. Yes, we did. We self-medicated through alcohol. And it was everything was around alcohol from high school to college and beyond. Then the pandemic happened. We had mommy wine days and everyone was drinking. And it's just for my age group, it's become so normal. It's become so normal to like drink every day, to drink multiple times a day, to get really drunk, to black out, to laugh about it. And I've had a lot of fun. I've had way too much fun. I've talked about my relationship with alcohol on the show many times. I feel like alcohol for me was something that allowed me to play because I'm always so on. I'm always so on. I'm working, I'm leading, I'm coaching. I don't turn off a lot when it comes to that. Like I'm always thinking about the next best thing or how to make something better. And alcohol for a very, very long time until I drank for the first time when I was 18. It was that escape, but not like I was still me, but I was that fun part of me that I quote unquote couldn't be when I was in like Christina hustle mode. And so as I go on, as I got older, I noticed, as I've told you guys, like my tolerance got crazy high, where I'd need multiple drinks to feel any sort of like relaxing effect. Then my hangover the next day were terrible. And it didn't matter how many drinks I had. They are just terrible. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this. Plus, I'd have mad anxiety. And you guys know I've been through the ringer the past, like, since December of last year. And some of that stuff started coming up when I had alcohol in my system. And I was just like, this isn't working for me. My sleep scores were shit. That was the biggest thing, like seeing how high my heart rate went up. And this is not an episode to like shame anyone about drinking. Absolutely not. I will never do that. This is not an episode to be better than thou. You get to make a choice in this episode. I'm just here to educate you and teach you. Because again, for me, I never thought that I'd get to the place I'm at right now. I'll be 100% with you guys. I never thought that I would have this much control over this thing that kind of it didn't control my life because I had control and I didn't need to drink every day, but it was consuming my life, meaning, as I said before, everything revolved around alcohol. And I bet a lot of people like feel that way. So if we're going to a ASU game, we're going to go pre-game, right? We're going to go get some beers beforehand. We're going to have drinks at the game. If we're going to a bridal shower, we're going to have mimosas. If we're going to brunch, we're going to have mimosas, right? If it's a nice day out, we're going to go get a margarita on a patio. You get what I'm saying? That's what I mean by consuming. And again, all good and well, but when it becomes fogginess, puffiness, anxiety, and just being more reactive, it can really interfere how we're running ourselves and our lives, running the show in general. So I want to crack open the subject of this complicated relationship with women and alcohol. It's really a truth telling. It's not something to say it's anti-alcohol, like I said, because when your hormones are shifting, and again, you guys have to remember, hormones are shifting around the age of 35. Your response to alcohol is going to shift as well. What might have felt like a reward, right, now feels like a train wreck. It's wrecking your sleep. It's wrecking your waistline. It's wrecking your mood. And so we're going to talk about that. So again, why do we drink, right? I like to say like alcohol isn't just a drink. It's a signal, right? It's a signal we need something. A signal that we could be over capacity, we could be over functioning, we're being pulled in many, many directions. Maybe we feel under supported. Maybe we feel like our emotional layers are getting like compounded and compounded and compounded. And we use alcohol, which is a sedative, to relax, right? I've had a long day. I'm going to pour that glass of wine and boom, I'm relaxed. Now, is it true relaxation? No. It's just the nervous system kind of bringing itself down, right? But it's not, what I mean by not true relaxation is it's forced relaxation. And so I don't see it in regards to your nervous system as you going into parasympathetic. I actually see it more as freezing. You're freezing whatever was going on because we know when we are done with the alcohol or maybe the next day, we feel more anxious. Like anxiety is such a true thing. But I want to talk about something that I've experienced personally that really not kept me from, but interfered with me getting to this soberish place. So I was fearful that I wouldn't be very much fun if I wasn't drinking, right? And I worried about that. Like, how am I going to interact with everybody else? Because everybody else is drinking. Like, how am I going to be? Like, am I going to be fun? Do they want to talk to me? Like, will they want to hang out anymore? A lot of people use alcohol for social anxieties, right? That glass of whatever just kind of gets the edge off and you feel like you can be your quote unquote self when you're out if you have a little bit of alcohol in your system. And like I talked about, if you're constantly on, which a lot of my listeners, a lot of my clients are this person, you're constantly on, and that drink is the off switch that you trust, that I trusted. That switch to be like, oh, now I can have fun. I'm in fun mode. It was like my brain logically would not allow me to have fun unless I was drinking. And a lot of these associations I want you to think about. I associate being in a social setting with drinking because without it, I feel not interesting. I feel like I'm boring. I feel like I'm not fun enough. I want you to be thinking about the behind the scenes because there is this kind of brainwashing effect that as we go on with this substance that we kind of do on our own. And of course, media tells us the same thing of like, have a beer with your friends. I mean, I love country music and everything's like, have a cold beer. And I love a cold beer. I love Coors Light. I haven't had one in 3 months. Anyway, I want you to be thinking about the associations in that brainwash, because that's, again, what I thought. Like, I couldn't do these things, socialize, have fun, be fun without alcohol. We have to think about, like, what is our emotional reality when we are going into like a drinking experience? Are we exhausted? Are we overstimulated? Are we emotionally raw? If we find that every time we're overstimulated, we reach for alcohol, we're creating a conditioned response. You know what drives my clients absolutely crazy is they're eating clean and doing all the workouts, but they don't see the weight budge. Their sleep is all over the place. Their hormones are through the roof, and they feel like they're going crazy.
Yeah, it's frustrating because 9 out of 10 times it's something hormone related that no one's looking at. It's perimenopause, menopause. Our biology internally has shifted, but no one's changing the strategy as far as approach.
What if perimenopause support included like therapeutic guidance, nutrition, exercise, and hormonal support all in one place?
Seriously, it would be great if you didn't have to track down like 10 different experts just to feel like yourself again.
That's why I created the Mindset of Menopause and have partnered with Dr. Jordan Trapp to create a comprehensive plan to your hormonal health.
Together, we are making medical insight meet emotional strategy. So your symptoms make sense, your plan actually works, and your power comes back online.
This isn't just support. This is your comeback season.
Go ahead and send us a DM for more information.
When I'm stressed, then I crave wine. When I drink the wine, I calm down. And so there's a reward. The problem, though, is that, like I said, that reward of calming down is only short-lived. And that stress that you actually experience is still there underneath. So I want you to be thinking not only the associations that I make with alcohol about yourself and like who you are when you are drinking, but also be thinking about, how am I managing my life with alcohol? What are the things that make me reach for alcohol? Because yeah, you could reach for alcohol, but like I say with food, you guys, if you can reach for food, but also let's give you other skills to see if that helps too. We shouldn't just have this one thing, but food and alcohol can definitely be that one thing. Sometimes I shouldn't say one thing. Sometimes you're doing both. And when you're drinking, the food becomes even worse because you don't have the boundaries that you normally do. So I want to talk about the effects of alcohol, especially my over 35 girlies. So our body becomes less efficient at processing alcohol. And that's not just about like hangovers. There's actually things that are occurring in our body. So our liver slows down and alcohol lingers longer in our system. And I think that's really important because that is why our hangovers are even worse. We're not metabolizing it like we used to. Like I mentioned, that then causes our sleep to take a hit. If any of you have an Oura ring, look at it the day after you drink alcohol. My heart rate would go up about 20 beats per minute. My REM sleep and deep sleep was like non-existent. And I just felt terrible. Interestingly, that was probably true for most of my life. But then what I ended up realizing is that I felt exhausted Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And I'm like, why do I feel so exhausted? It's because Saturday we went out and had boozy brunch or whatever, and my body was taking much longer to recover from it. It wasn't a hangover, it was exhaustion. Another thing, if you are in perimenopause, increased alcohol does increase inflammation. Whether you're perimenopause, whether you have an autoimmune issue, this is really important because I see a lot of clients be like, I feel like shit. And I'll look at their food tracking and I'm like, you drank every single day this week. Or the client who's like, I just can't lose weight. I just can't lose weight. And they want to try the like, I don't know, the easy way out. It's like, but you drink every day. Like, why don't we try to like get some control around that? And again, I'm never shaming my clients. Like, if we have to do from 6 drinks a day to 3 to 1, we will titrate down. But we have to recognize that alcohol has calories. They're empty calories. They provide no nutrition. They are calories, though. Ethanol is the 4th macronutrient. And I think just a lot of women think, well, it's just a drink here, a drink there. And they don't realize, like, not only is it calories, but a lot of times, remember that whole concept of a beer belly? It's going straight to your midsection. And then women are like, well, I don't understand why I've continued to gain weight or I lost weight and gained it back. It's because of one of the reasons could be because you're consuming way too many calories from alcohol consumption. The other thing is over 35, 40, if you're in perimenopause, it actually increases hot flashes. It can mess with your temperature regulation. I know that if I was ever like really like in a bad spot after drinking, I would actually go into the cold plunge because my body was so hot. And that's stupid. I should never have to do that. The brain fog, very real. And the mood swings, very real. Because you have that anxiety afterwards. You're on edge. You're wondering, did I say something stupid? Did I make a fool out of myself? You have to apologize to people. Then you feel like shit about yourself. That is very real. And if we're constantly having to do that, then that is something that you need to kind of check yourself on. And then lastly, your cortisol levels and your stress hormones will skyrocket, as I mentioned, because you're not actually relaxing. You're keeping your nervous system in a state of alert. It's just on pause. It's just kind of frozen during the time that we're drinking. So while it feels like a relief, biologically, it's doing the exact opposite of what we want it to do. On top of that, though, there is a ripple effect. And this is where I want you guys to be thinking about it. If you're listening to this podcast, and I'm assuming that you're someone who is interested in your health, your longevity, being strong, being even lean, being healthy, having good blood work, healthy blood work. And I want you to understand the ripple effects down the line of alcohol. Now, I'm not going to be 100 with you guys. I worry about a lot of these things because I'm 42 and not until from 18 to 42 have I took probably 3 months off in 2019, but probably every Saturday we'd go out and do something, right? Now, again, when I was younger, when I bartended, it would be Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, then the weekend. And that titrated down once I got into my career. And then that titrated down just to 1 day a week. And then that titrated down to, do we have to drink today? And now that's my go-to. That's my default now. And when you're listening to this, I want you to think about what makes sense for you, right? But let's talk about the beyond the immediate effects, which we just talked about. We have this cascade of long-term consequences, especially in midlife. So as I mentioned, weight gain and belly fat. Alcohol ramps up cortisol, as we talked about, and cortisol suppresses that fat burning part of your body, and it boosts insulin resistance, which also increases the fat around your belly. These are all funnels for fat to go straight to your midsection. Again, it's called a beer belly for a reason. So if you're someone who's really struggling with that part of your body, and you're drinking every single day, maybe that's the first thing to try. Now, I'm going to be 100. I did not see this huge weight loss when I stopped drinking. I didn't see any weight loss, to be honest with you, but I did have a lot of energy. I felt better. So that has its own cascade of positive effects, right? The other one is cognitive decline. Even moderate drinking increases neurodegeneration. And in perimenopause and menopause, we have a lot of estrogen receptors in our brain. And when estrogen is out of whack, we are already increasing our likelihood of cognitive impair just by going through the menopause transition. You add alcohol on top of that, and now we're really setting ourselves up for disaster. We're talking Alzheimer, we're talking dementia, even just not being clear. And of course, the brain fog, the lack of clarity. So that memory glitch, missing words, which again, I already do in perimenopause, add alcohol. How am I going to be successful? And a lot of you listening are very successful women. So we just have to think about this. Okay, your body's going to go through menopause if you like it or not. You can't control that, but we can control the things that we used to do in a way that will help support us as our bodies go through this natural transition. And we've just got to think of hormones in general, because if our estrogen, our progesterone, our sex hormones are off, we're already going to have things like hot flashes, mood changes, weight gain, cognitive decline. Adding alcohol on top of this makes this even more chaotic. So we have to be thinking, just like I just said, you can't keep yourself from going through perimenopause and menopause, but you can change the things that are going to make it worse. And lastly, bone loss. This is one I didn't know until I was doing my research for this. It blocks nutrient absorption and weakens your skeletal system. So this increases your risk of fractures and osteoporosis for those of you listening over the age of 35 going into perimenopause and menopause. That increases the risks of both of those as well. So I wanted you guys to see this kind of side by side, especially for my girlies who are my age, because you've got to outweigh the risks, right? Like I already know I'm at risk because I'm going through this transition, and this thing that I'm doing is going to actually make all of these things worse. But in our brains, we're like, but I feel like shit and it makes me feel better. Again, I want you to think about what associations you are having with alcohol. There is this lie, we'll call it, that alcohol makes us feel better. And it does for a short period of time. But then we feel like shit. Like I'm not judging anyone. I've done fucking beer funnels. Like I have played the Millennium Club. Is it the Millennium Club? One shot of alcohol of not alcohol. God, I would die. Beer every minute is the Millennium Club. Yeah. I have played beer pong, flip cup. I've done all of it, you guys. Like I could outdrink probably my husband. Not something that I have a badge of honor of, but I just want to be serious. Like I'm not this fucking person who's never touched. No, I am that girl. And I made up this lie that it made me feel better because I felt like shit. Now, for some people, and if you're listening, you know who you are. You're like, but I never get hangovers. But then the next conversation is that your blood work is off and you don't know why you've gained 20 pounds. I do. Anyways, last one is mood instability. As we talked about, alcohol is a depressant. What calms you in the moment often leaves you irritable, anxious, and even weepy the next day. And let's be real, one glass at 35 feels very different than one glass at 45. Your body has changed, but your habits need to catch up. So what do we do instead? If you're someone like me and you feel like this seems like an uphill battle, I truly did. I would start with reading Alan Carr's book, which is Easy Way to Quit Drinking. A lot of what I'm talking about is from that book. And it really just has two concepts, like you're brainwashed and you believe it's going to provide you something good. And that really stuck with me. I actually didn't even finish the book. I think I read it halfway and I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. I've been creating these cognitive distortions and this almost like, you think of your inner critic. I had like my alcohol part, like part of me, the party girl, we'll call her, right? We have the inner critic and I had the party girl. And the party girl was a way to protect myself, right? If I could just numb out and be offline and relax or play, then I'm okay. I don't have to deal with all of those emotions and the things that I'm feeling. And so I want you to, if you're someone who would like a little bit more information on that, that's a great book. I will have Ira add that in the show notes. So read the book, but here's the easiest thing. I think you look at what I already talked to you about. Like, what associations am I putting on myself with being a drinker? I have people in my life or have had people in my life, like that was their identity. Everything is like shirts and cups about them drinking. Like if you open their closet in their cupboards, it'd be like, is it 5? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Like stupid shit like that. Like, is that your identity? And I want you guys to know the people I'm talking about are not single people. They're married with children. And it's just this identity of like mommy's juice. Mom needs time off. Yes, you absolutely can go with your girlfriends and have some drinks. That's not what this is about. But what associations are you making with yourself and alcohol? Then kind of thinking about what are the conditioned responses that I've done. So like I said, nice day, patio, margarita. Boom, boom, boom. Or we go to AZ88, we get an espresso martini. Or we had a really hard day at work, boom, bottles open, wine is poured. Like, what are those conditioned responses that maybe you can look at and be like, well, is there another way that I can respond to this, especially when we're talking about stress management? So before I open the glass or open the bottle, maybe I go and take a hot shower or a bath or just whatever is an emotional manager for you. Being able to do just breathing activities or journal or just disconnect. Like sometimes just sitting in silence is really helpful because again, if you can kind of allow yourself and get yourself to that parasympathetic place, we've taken you out of the heightened place. And now we're at parasympathetic. Then if you decide, and I also want to drink, fuck yeah, go get a drink, right? But I want you to see those differences between I had a bad day, boom, alcohol. It's like Pavlov's dog, right? It's like ding, ding, ding. The bell, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the dog, whenever it was fed, a bell was rung. So you had dog, bell, food. And then just the conditioning happened that every time this dog heard a bell, it starts salivating because it associated the bell with food. So like nice day with margarita, we've got to say, okay, it's a nice day out. We could go for a bike ride. We could go for a hike. We can take the dogs to the dog park. We could just lay out at your pool or a friend's pool or whoever's pool. See the difference? Okay. Then behaviorally, lots of things. I have all the tricks. So number one of my favorite things to do with clients is create a drink max. Say, I know that after 5 drinks, nothing good's going to happen for me. So I'm going to stick to 4 drinks because if I get to that 5th, my little party girl voice is going to be like, you're having so much fun with your friends. I'm going to tell you something. This happened to me yesterday. I was with my family. It's rare that me, my brother and sister are together, like not in the hospital with my dad or like at my parents' house. And they were all drinking and I had my little non-alcoholic beers. And then I had like 2 Michelob Ultras. And then my brother's like, no, you're drinking with me. And I was like, I don't want to. And I ended up having 3. But there was that party girl was like, but you're with your family. You are enjoying this time together. You are, and I caught her and I was like, no, 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 we're not doing that. You're going to feel like shit tomorrow. You do not want to feel like shit tomorrow. And honestly, you guys, this hormone changes. Like I have these terrible headaches just being sober. Like I don't want to feel worse than I already fucking feel, right? So I get the party girl voice. So if you know party girl is going to be there between drinks 4 and 5, then set that max to 4. And some of you out there be like, 4 drinks, that's so much. Listen, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the person who can consume 4 drinks because I know my friend group, they're fucking boss ass bitches. They party. Okay. So if that's not you, this might not be the podcast for you. Okay. Then when we're on our drink max, we can order a mocktail in between. This is a great thing. I used to just order soda water, but now now I drink mostly mocktails and then I might have a drink here or there. And usually it's at a specific event, right? So I had drinks in Mexico. I had drinks yesterday with my family, and that's been the first time I drank in 3 months. And I do not drink Coors Light because I know if I open that can of worms, game's over. So having the mocktails, your brain thinks, especially if it's like there's a really cool ones out there where you've got, like I got a Paloma without the tequila and they had like the salt on the rim and the everything. A pro tip, you want to ask for more soda water because they can be really heavy in regards to juices. And I don't like that. It gives me heartburn. So I ask for like half the juice, half soda water, or I'll get the drink and then ask for a soda water and a side of ice and kind of make my own concoction. So you could have a mocktail, you could have a non-alcoholic beer. There's a ton out there. Michelob Ultra makes a 0. I love Athletic, which I've talked about before. They have a variety. Corona makes a 0. And it's nice because they're usually less than like 35 calories. And your brain still thinks you're drinking. So you have your 4 drink max. And then maybe in between, when you'd normally have drinks 5, 6, 7, you have a mocktail or you have a soda water or you have a non alcoholic beer. Amazing. Or if you're feeling really, really frisky, try not drinking. Only do the mocktails, only do the non alcoholic beer. You'd be surprised. The conditioning is really around holding the cold drink and like talking to people. If you really, and I didn't understand this till I stopped drinking. And for you guys, I'm not sober. I'm sober-ish. And I can't even really say that because I still drink. But like I said, I really needed to have a new relationship with alcohol. That's what we should call it. I have a very new relationship with alcohol. What I didn't realize until I like had that 2 months of like not drinking at all is just the reality of what I was trying to feel when I was drinking and how long it took me to feel that over the years and years of building tolerance. And now I have these mocktails. I'm not searching for a buzz because I know it's not coming. Unless I use THC, I do have these THC drops that I can put in my drinks to give me a little it relaxes you, but it also gives me mad dry mouth and makes me tired. But it's just a different experience. But again, sometimes just having that cold drink with the flour in it or whatever is enough. So that's an option. Do that for 7 days. Just take a break. Then in that 7 days, track your sleep, track your mood, track your cravings. Try to see, oh, I sleep better. I feel better. And then you can start building these kind of rituals like I have. These are rules that I have for myself. And in this case, I think these rules are applicable rather than the like diet rules we talk about, which we don't love. And my rules are I am only going to consume alcohol on special occasions, mainly not here in the state of Arizona. First, I just have this fear of running into a client if I'm under the consumption of alcohol, and my client might be drunk too or drinking. I have learned in my life that that doesn't mix. So maybe on vacation or like we were in Mexico or at a friend's house, but I'm on medication for ADHD, and the medication that I'm on doesn't necessarily vibe with alcohol either. So I have to stop taking it a couple days before I am going to drink. So it also needs to be a planned thing. Now, that's me. For you, you can say, okay, I am only going to drink alcohol when I go out to dinner with my family or husband or friends. Now, if you're someone who goes out to dinner like every week, multiple times a week, this probably isn't going to apply to you. But I won't drink at home because we have that drink every night. Think about the rituals that work for you. And I like rituals more than rules. We'll call them rituals because my rituals are I've got a plan for it because I got to stop taking the medication. A lot of people drink on the medication I have. I just don't want to do it. And I prefer that it just be with people that I trust, right? And people that don't care either way if I drink or not. So I think that's a big one too. Like my friends, they don't care either way. They think it's actually kind of cool. They show off my little THC drops. We already talked about the midlife max. So capping it at 3 to 5 drinks, spacing it out, drinking earlier in the evening, which is incredibly important. Drinking earlier in the evening and stopping between like 2 to 3 hours before we're going to sleep to try to get that alcohol out of our system. The other thing we want to do is pair it with protein. Okay. When we are consuming alcohol, our ability to metabolize, if you will, or burn off our carbs and fats halts because of this poison that is coming into our body. So the body says stop and processes the alcohol first. From the research that I've read, protein can still be processed through the body. Now, this may not be true. Jury's out on this, but we want to pair it with protein. Pair it with protein, right? And then also hydrate like it's your freaking job. You need to stay hydrated, especially here in the desert, because you are going to feel terrible afterwards. So set your midlife max, drink earlier in the day, cut off before like 2 to 3 hours before we're going to sleep, and then pair it with your protein and hydrate. And then again, name your truth. You are fun. You're magnetic. You can be yourself. You have power that doesn't live in the bottom of a glass. You have that power. You are the person behind that personality. You just need to give yourself permission to let it out. Be that girl. Like I said, I went out with friends. We're making jokes. I'm talking. This is really bad. There were times where I was having conversations and I didn't remember what we were talking about. And now I'm so much more present. I'm actually funnier because I'm wittier. I'm actually pretty witty, like sober. And we did go to this concert and I didn't love it. Sorry, friends. So Mark and I left early. Now I told Mark too, I'm like, you can stay because it was with like his group of friends, even though we're all friends now. I said, you could stay, but he chose to leave with me. And we went home and I came home and I had some protein cereal and I went to sleep. So name your truth. You are fun. You're fun to be around. You're engaging. You're mindful. You're a good listener. You don't need this extra thing to be that. So it's not about restriction though, guys. It's just about reconnecting, like I said, reestablishing your relationship, especially as I've talked about after the age of 35. Because if you're listening and you're under 35, like I want you to think about this and say, wow, like I didn't realize all of these things were going to happen to me earlier than I had thought, which a lot of people do, meaning your hormonal changes. But also I didn't realize how alcohol has the similar effects on the body as the changes. And so you can start kind of planning your exit strategy, if you will. Again, this is not about being sober. This is not about any shame. I'm just telling you my story. And I will say it's crazy. When I did have those drinks yesterday, I'm like, this isn't even fun for me because I had the reality, like you're going to need 3 more to feel anything. And that's fucking annoying. 3 more. I would need 6 drinks to feel anything. And then if I have 6 drinks, boom, next thought is, and you're going to feel like shit tomorrow. It's crazy the clarity I have. Now, again, there might be a time where me and my husband have a little bit too much to drink and we have a good little time, maybe in a beach in Mexico, but that's our own fucking prerogative and we will handle that. So whatever that looks like for you, it looks like for you. So challenge this week, we want to pause before the pour. Ask yourself, is this helping me feel more alive or just a little less overwhelmed? Okay. If you don't need a rule book, like I said, we need rituals, we need some leadership, and we need to just start being honest. This isn't about guilting yourself. This isn't about shaming yourself. You're not failing. We're more evolving, right? We're evolving our relationship with alcohol, and we get to lead this phase of life like intentionally and understanding our bodies and understanding what we did prior does need to change. And this just happens to be a major habit, kind of like sleep, kind of like recovery, that we need to just give a little look-see over. So that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope I didn't step on any toes. But if I did, that's even probably something you should look at. Because I know some people shame me because I'm not drinking as much. I don't know how to say it, you guys. Because it's like I don't drink and then I'll have a few. And then I don't drink and then I have a few. So I'm not all or nothing. I'm nothing or something. There you go. But I know there's friends like, oh God, why would she ever stop drinking? Like, shut the fuck up. Anywho, I hope you found this episode helpful. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel as we talk about all this stuff. We talk about drinking. We talk about exercise. We talk about your mindset. I'm a freaking therapist. Like, we talk about everything. Make sure you follow us wherever you listen to this podcast or subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube. Don't forget, we have the Mindset of Menopause, my first cohort, launching soon. You will find the information in the show notes below. I know you've already listened to my very long commercial. So this, you guys, is unlike any other program. Plus, Mark and I were talking on our walk today. I think I'm going to add a spouse support for your partners or the men in your life, your dad, your brother, whomever, your kid, to help them understand. Let me know if you guys think that's a good idea in the comments. Other than that, I'm going to leave you the same way I do every single episode, reminding you that what you see in your mind, you also see in the mirror. Bye-bye.